Hello, James.
Hello, Jerry.
James Corbett of the CorbettReport.com. Is that correct? That your main
That
connection?
that's right.
Yeah. And one of my favorite news services where I am so aligned with so much that you talk about. I don't know how you do it, but I put out a little list. I went over your video topics, and I think it's important for people to get this: mass surveillance, technocracy, globalist agendas, mass medication, war, profiteering, terrorist narratives, deep state, geoengineering, whistleblowers, official lies and propaganda, macro finance and economics, police state, statism, and one of my favorite terms, new words, Kakistocracy, which was that you that termed that? Where did that come from? Do you recall?
I think it's been kicking around for over 100 years now, but it was introduced to me by Dr. Tjeerd Andring at the university in Groningen in the northern Netherlands.
Right, and it describes the idea that when you have central governments, that eventually the worst of the worst attract themselves to the center, into the power control centers, because, of course, if you're a psychopath or a sociopath, what better place to get away with the things you want to do? And that gives you your kakistocracy, which, in my view, happens to almost any mature central government of any kind. But how do you see it? What's your perspective on that word? I love that word.
Yeah, well, it is so insightful, and just for people who don't know, that it breaks down, it literally means rule by the worst. And I think in this case, we can see it as being the worst in terms of moral sense. And I think you're right. I think it's the psychopathy of the so-called would-be ruling elite that really does set the agenda for everyone else. And I think the most insidious part of that is there's lots of people who aren't psychopaths, but in a psychopathic system, you almost have to take on that persona in order to get ahead. And so people start to shape their world around it. So that's the really insidious part of it.
That's how I see it, is that it's a centralized government is similar to a swimming pool where the leaves all gather to the center. It's just a natural force that these less than upward moral people will gather to that center of power and degrade almost any central government over time.
100% that is the case. And it's just creating the trough for people to feed from. What else are you going to expect other than the swine to show up and feed from it?
Exactly. Don't build the trough. But anyway, we're going to talk about the Red Pill Expo. That's coming up June 23rd, 24th in Montana, Bozeman, Montana. And you will electronically be there. Is that correct?
That's right. I'm not going to physically be there in person. I'm going to be appearing via Skype, but it should be an interesting event.
Yeah, and you said you have some kind of an idea what topic you're going to be on, and that relates to a book you're working on. Let us know just a quick rundown on that.
Yes, so it's going to be a topic that I have talked about at length before, which is the monetary paradigm that we're living in. It's actually interesting because Ed Griffin, G. Edward Griffin, of course, the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, which was one of the key sources for my documentary on the Federal Reserve that I did a couple of years ago, Century of Enslavement. Right. He got in touch with me to say, would you like to present at the expo? And I said, well, of course. I mean, when G. Edward Griffin calls you up, you don't say no. Yeah. So it was interesting because he explained it was the Red Pill Expo, and obviously Red Pill is about the metaphor that was introduced in the Matrix, the red pill and the blue pill, which one do you want to take? And it's interesting, the combination of G. Edward Griffin, the author of Creature from Jekyll Island, and Red Pill was exactly in line with something that I already had written for a book project that I've been working on for 7 years, which is to do with the monetary paradigm and drawing on the Matrix as a sort of metaphor for what's going on. It just came together so perfectly that I was like, well, yes, perfect. I can present this. And so I have this little presentation ready to go. And as I said, it's part of a book project that I've been working on for 7 years now. But it's just a collection of essays that I'm going to be putting out, hopefully in the near future. But I've been promising this for so long that I don't want to give anyone any precise dates.
Yeah, no hard date on that yet. But certainly look forward to that coming out. I was looking over your site, and you have just such a you're so prolific with writing and producing and audio podcasts. It's amazing. That was one of my questions for you. How in the world do you discipline yourself into all this production? What is your lifestyle? Do you even does your family know you, or how do you how do you do it?
There are times in which it seems they might not. Well, actually, if anything, I feel like I'm not working as much as I used to, because now of course I have 2 young children. It's harder and harder to find the time. It really is just a question of what I do with the rest of my life. This is what I do. This is what I think about. It's not like I'm forcing myself to do this. This is just naturally what I'm interested in, what I'm curious about, what I want to explore. And from that list of topics that you read, I think it's obvious I'm not a master of any one subject. I just have a wide-ranging interest in how the world works, and that takes me in a lot of different directions. And I like to look into this, and then look into that, and look into this, and look into that box, and over here, and what's in over there. So that's just the way that I operate, and that's who I am. If I wasn't doing this website, I imagine I would still be exploring all these different areas, reading all these books, doing all this. It's just the only difference is that I'm in front of a camera and speaking about it. So it's just a question of habit forming and routine in terms of getting this work out there on a regular basis.
Obviously you put in some major hours, and you're must be a speed reader and I don't know what all, because I do YouTube videos on the same subjects, but it takes me much longer to get around to doing it. And it's amazing to see how much you put out. When you say you're not an expert, you're far more expert than most people in the subjects you discuss, and it's always a pleasure to get your insights on that. So that we'll look forward to that at the Red Pill Expo. And is there anything else you want to say about the conference, or you're going to have about something like 15 minutes there in the live conference, I guess?
That's right. So my presentation will be relatively short, but I am looking forward to seeing all of the different presentations. And as I understand, there will be a video release of the conference afterwards. So that will be exceptionally interesting. My understanding is Ed has booked a local video crew to do that. So whenever that's available, depends on how quickly they can get that all edited and out the door. And I think there will be a lot of people lined up for that, because not all of us can get to Bozeman, Montana. So, well, thank you, James. It's great to see you. Great to talk to you. And certainly look forward to seeing you at the Red Pill Expo. And look forward to your future productions and insights. And my book. Your book. And the name of the book, what's the title? Do you know? Yes, the title will be Reportage, Essays on the New World Order. There we go. That wraps up a lot of your work. So it'll be very exciting to see that come out. Thank you so much for your time. And we will see you at the Expo. Thank you. So don't miss live presentations by James Corbett, Mike Adams, the health ranger from Natural News, former Congresswoman and rights activist Cynthia McKinney, best-selling author Robert Kiyosaki, political activist Lord Christopher Monckton, founder of Freedom Force International G. Edward Griffin, Sheriff Richard Mack, crusader for constitutional law enforcement, Patrick Wood, researcher, author, and publisher of Technocracy News, and many more presenters and speakers who will open your eyes and mind to the real news that is hidden behind the fake news. To register to attend the Red Pill Expo or find out more about the conference, click on the link posted below this video on YouTube. If you are not on YouTube, click on the YouTube logo at the bottom right corner of this video.